For decades, Vladimir Putin has sought to restore Russia's status as a global superpower. His invasions of Georgia in 2008, Crimea in 2014, and Ukraine in 2022 were all attempts to reclaim what he believes is Russia's rightful territory. However, these actions have not revitalized Russia, but instead pushed it towards collapse. So, what happened? Today, we're exploring how Putin's quest to revive the Russian Empire might ironically lead to its downfall. This exploration reveals how aggressive military strategies, initially intended to strengthen a nation, can sometimes precipitate its collapse. Let's rewind a bit. Putin's early years in power were characterized by a desire to project strength and stability. He presented himself as a resolute leader, determined to revive Russia's former glory. This image was reinforced through his military interventions and political maneuvers. The invasion of Georgia in 2008, the annexation of Crimea in 2014, and the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 were all steps in a grand design to reassert Russian dominance. However, each of these actions, far from consolidating Russia's power, seemed to trigger a series of events that led to increasing instability. Putin's aggressive expansionist policies were intended to showcase Russia's might and reclaim its historical territories. Yet these very tactics have inadvertently placed Russia on a precarious path. A critical turning point came on August 6, 2024, when Ukraine undertook an unexpected and bold move. In a dramatic development, Ukrainian forces crossed into Russian territory in Kursk, an unexpected move that caught the Kremlin off guard. This wasn't just a minor military engagement, it was a direct challenge to Russia's perceived invincibility. For the first time since World War II, Russian soil was directly threatened, and the impact was profound. The shockwave from the Kursk invasion was deeply felt across Russia. The country had been accustomed to projecting its strength. But now, the reality of war was literally on its doorstep. Russian soldiers, many of whom were young conscripts with little experience, surrendered swiftly. Ukrainian forces advanced, capturing significant swaths of Russian territory. What was Putin's response? He vowed a worthy response, yet weeks passed without any substantial action. This delay in counteraction further fueled doubts about the Kremlin's capability and resolve. Meanwhile, Ukrainian forces solidified their position, gaining control of nearly 500 square miles of Russian territory by the end of August, a region comparable in size to Los Angeles. This was a monumental blow to Putin, who had consistently portrayed himself as the protector of Russia's safety and sovereignty. The situation in Kursk revealed a critical vulnerability. The local population, caught off guard, saw their trust in the government's protective abilities crumble. This breach of trust extended beyond Kursk, touching every corner of Russia as the reality of the situation set in. So why does this matter? Putin's leadership has been built on the facade of strength and decisiveness. The Kursk invasion shattered this image, exposing the weaknesses in his regime. For the first time in decades, there was open dissent and questioning of his leadership. Even among the elites, those who have long supported his rule, there was growing uncertainty and wavering loyalty. Western sanctions, targeting Russia's wealthiest citizens and freezing billions of dollars, have compounded the crisis. When those who sustain a regime begin to lose faith, it often signals the beginning of the end. The economic pressures and the erosion of support from the oligarchs are significant indicators of potential instability. Historical parallels provide a sobering context. The Soviet Union's failure to suppress the Afghan resistance in the 1980s serves as a cautionary tale. What was expected to be a quick military victory turned into a protracted and costly conflict, contributing to the eventual collapse of the Soviet regime. Putin's current situation bears striking similarities, but with even more dire consequences. The conflict in Afghanistan resulted in the loss of 15,000 Soviet soldiers, whereas estimates suggest that Putin's war in Ukraine has already claimed over 600,000 lives. The scale of loss and the ongoing quagmire mirror historical precedents, raising concerns about a potential repeat of past failures. So, how does the Kursk invasion fit into this historical narrative? The Kursk invasion could be a significant catalyst, possibly precipitating a broader crisis within Russia, potentially even a civil war. As unusual as it might seem, Russia was on the brink of internal conflict as recently as June 2023. During that period, Yevgeny Prigozhin, leader of the Wagner Group, led an insurrection against Putin. Although this uprising was quickly quelled, it exposed the fragile nature of Putin's control over the country. With the Kursk invasion, the flaws in Putin's military strategy and decision-making are becoming increasingly evident. His leadership is being scrutinized not only by the Russian public, but also by his own military hierarchy. The consequences of these missteps are beginning to unfold, and the future of Putin's regime hangs in the balance. So, where does this leave Putin? He faces the very real possibility of losing the support of his people. History demonstrates that even the most formidable authoritarian leaders can be overthrown when their support base erodes. Russia has experienced such upheavals before, notably during the protests that led to the Soviet Union's collapse in 1991. In light of the current crisis, the question arises, could we witness a similar wave of dissent in Russia today? If Putin fails to address the situation effectively, the Kursk invasion might be remembered as the beginning of the end for his regime. As the situation unfolds, Putin's empire stands on the precipice of collapse, mirroring the fate of the Soviet Union. Will he find a way to restore his power, or is this truly the start of his downfall? Let me know what you think in the comments. Can Putin recover from this crisis, or is his reign approaching its end? And while you're here, don't miss our next video on the collapse of the Russian army, or check out this other video for more insights. Thank you for watching.